overcoming fear and anxiety, gaining confidence, public speaking, better preparation and practice, the power of storytelling. All this and more. Welcome to the High Achievers Club.
Yes, hello and welcome to the High Achievers Club, and welcome to our fabulous live we are doing here today. So as always, we have a top class panel of experts here to discuss, to support, and indeed to help you with everything when it comes to giving presentations, speaking up, and achieving success as you get your voice heard. So before we get into the main discussion of the day, we're going to ask each of these wonderful people to do a quick introduction on themselves so you know who they are, how they can help and support you. And again, why they introduce themselves, take that a second just to check out their profiles as well so you know more and more about them and their amazing expertise. So we go around and we'll ask them to do a quick intro. It's going Stefan, Harriet, Movell, Rob, Erno, and then Bill, and then be back to me. So Stefan, my friend, over to you first.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. My name is Stefan, and last name Bollinger. Sounds like champagne, tastes like champagne. No, I still have to pay for my champagne, but it's still a nice last name. I'm a photographer. Why am I here? Well, I actually have a background in musical theater, in theater itself, in radio, in TV. And yes, once you grab that microphone, you never let it go. So I'm here to share some of my experiences from a different side, not the salesy side, but the drama. And talking about drama, I know someone who does really well with drama. That person right there, Harriet.
Unmute.
And if you unmute, we would even hear you.
That'd be amazing.
I really thought I'd managed to master the mute button. Wow. To be honest, I think I was just too excited about champagne. Stefan, you got me thinking about bubbles. So I'll have to just keep it as the champagne in the veins feeling. I'm super excited for your session today. I am Harriet, also an international speaker, speaker trainer, and fire walk instructor. And I support driven female entrepreneurs to step into their power. You know, that feeling of a bit of anxiousness, fear, maybe even if we're really honest, that feeling of being a little bit scared to speak up. I support you into feeling confident. As I say, stepping into that power, unleashing your warrior within, and being prepared to speak up and share your message and truth. So I'm really excited to be here with everybody today, and I'm going to pass the mic or throw it over to the wonderful Movell.
Why, thank you, beautiful Harriet. I managed to master the mute button, but only for the first time today because I've just been presenting and screwing that up all day. So at least once is good. So I'm Movell. I am your resident inclusion expert. Been doing inclusion work for the last 20 years. Also a strengths-based coach. And now, very recently, a cultural intelligence facilitator. So all things inclusion, I am your person. And so in terms of speaking, I speak on those topics on a regular basis. It's interesting, it's wonderful, and I love to come here and share my expertise with all of you and be amongst this wonderful family that we've created who are all here for you too. And so it gives me nothing but pleasure to hand off to that guy right there who is...
There we go. I'm trying to grab hold of that now, Movell. Hey, thank you so much.
Take it.
Family we are. Joy and an honor to be with everyone here today. My name is Rob Holman, and I've been a professional keynote speaker for over 20 years. Some of you might be thinking, how old is this guy? He seems youthful, but how old is he really? 46 years old. I'm here to share some of my tips and strategies that I've learned over the years of professional speaking to set you up for greater success. I do speak oftentimes as an opening keynote speaker because if you can't tell already, I got a lot of passion, a lot of energy, and I love to set the tone. With no further delay, I'm handing it off to my brother, Arnold Van Buren. Here we go.
Woo! Thank you, Rob. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm Arnold, and I'm based in Manchester, UK. I'm retired. No, I'm lying. So I own a business called Learn Global, where we are literally focused on TV, radio, metaverse, all these kind of tech. And yes, why I'm here. The reason is because I'm a tech guy, and tech guys, people in IT, we don't want to we don't like public speaking. But public speaking have changed my world and became even stronger, better leadership and all that. So now it's my time to share my experience, but also to learn from others. So further ado, I wanna go to, well, if I'm gonna do this, it sounds wrong. So, but Bill, hello, Bill.
You're right. We do have to work on that graphic a little bit, Arnold, but I do appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. It's great to be here. I'm Bill Gannon, and love being part of this family of the High Achievers Club for public speaking. My clients call me when their teams need a tune-up on mostly interpersonal communication. Now the COVID cloud is lifting and people are getting back out again. We're hearing about a lot of sales teams and a lot of executive teams that still want to stay inside and still want to text their customers and still want to only do it through email. No good, folks. You have to get out and interpersonally interact. That's the name of the game. So I'm your tune-up pro on that. I'm Bill Gannon with the Gannon Group. Had a consultancy for 7 years on this subject, but been in sales, presentation giving, public speaking for more than I want to know. This is how old I am. When Rob Holman was being delivered in the maternity ward, when he was coming into the world, I had already started working in New York City. So that's where we are on our experiences. But
you look good, Bill. You look good.
Would love to hand it off to Andy O'Sullivan, our fearless leader.
Thank you, Bill. And look what an amazing panel we have here today, exclusively to help you with your public speaking. For those of you who have yet to have the pleasure of meeting, my name is, of course, Andy O'Sullivan, as it says below. I'm a 5-time best-selling author of books on public speaking, pitching, and presenting. And I love helping people to uncover their confidence, find their voice. They can speak up in meetings, they can deliver presentations, and achieve that success that comes by being heard. Get that success in your career by being that person to share in meetings, to lead meetings, to give those presentations. That is where my focus is on helping people to do. So today we are going to be talking all about powerful presentations. Yes, how you can create successful presentations through guided emotional intelligence. If that's not enough to keep you listening and hooked, I don't know what is. So let's find out more as we go over to the one and only Stefan Bollinger.
Wow, thank you so much, Andy. It's very exciting to take over this session. We had an amazing session last week. Rob, I'm still in awe. You brought so much energy. And I tried to, when I was thinking about this presentation, I tried to sort of bring that energy, but it will be a little bit different. Usually I'm known a little bit as the clown in this round, trying to bring the jokes, but this will be a little bit different today. So it will be a little bit more serious from my side, mainly because this topic is quite close to my heart. And I'm also, if I move a little bit weird today, it's because my lower back pain is absolutely cruciating today, but I didn't want to cancel, so I'm here anyway. So what we'll do, to give you an idea, quick little structure. Usually I'm also known for the person who elongates the stories and talks forever. So I try to change that today as well and make the stories really short and concise. So what we'll do as a structure is I will tell 2 tiny little stories, really, really short, to get a feel for what we're talking about. And then in the third hour, I see you all quite confused right now. Perfect. So I tried with this intro to make every possible mistake you could make as a presenter in your first minute. First of all, I established an emotional connection. I got you onto this level that You don't want to laugh. I created this emotional bed that you're all sitting down because, oh, Stefan today is serious. And then this idiot makes a joke. And you're in this limbo land where you just don't know how to feel. If I now laugh, because his two little stories are going for 2 bloody hours, but at the same time, he programmed us by giving that low end speech of being serious. You're in this limbo land. And then for good measure, I've thrown in some sob story about some back pain and excused myself in the hope for some sympathy from the audience as well. And I mingled it all in. I'm wondering how many people who actually were listening realized, talking about emotional intelligence, how I messed with your feelings and how I messed with this beginning of that presentation. We always talk about how we can start presentations. We have to have this strong beginning and within the first 30 seconds. And I completely screwed this up on every level possible, right? You're all in this weird emotional right now. Even right now, you wonder, where is this guy going with this? If you would sit in a real auditorium right now, you would already be back on TikTok or whatever your social media is. So I'm wondering, what can we do better? Well, I decided today I want to talk about things that we do in theater on purpose to produce certain feelings in an audience and to demonstrate, I thought, I'll do everything wrong to start with. So now I'm in trouble land. But the first minute is gone. Look at all you. You're all looking at me like, Stefan, save it. Somehow, do something. You messed it up. Audience is leaving. The people in the back are already snoring. The front line, they're all on Facebook. What are you doing? All right, so I hope I gave you a few ideas not to start. Now, how to save this situation. What do we do in theater? What do we do? We create new emotions. All right, how do I switch this around? Rob, have you paying attention? Have you? Oh, too slow. Andy, have you been paying attention? Okay, so he reacts. Wonderful. Rob, back to you. Now you had a second chance. Come off your mic. You've been paying attention?
I've been edge of my seat. I'm paying complete attention.
All right, so wonderful. Is there anything that you always wanted in your life, deep in your heart?
That's a question for me, Stefan.
That is a question for you, yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm giving it serious consideration for you to tell me that you love me.
Okay, wonderful. Have you noticed that by the fact that I mentioned deep in my heart, I've already guided you to come up with something that has to do with love or happiness? Have I been manipulating you?
You have, in some very interesting way.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Have you realized that I manipulated you?
No, not at all.
Wonderful. Now, the funny thing is, my first minute that I messed up has been resolved by getting, guess what? The audience involved. Now I have a conversation. So this is the trick that we do and what we call a drama curve in theater. Now, if you look at some of the top speakers in the world, you know, the Tony Robbins, loud in your face. Now you're laughing. Now you're laughing. You know, the you can do it kind of people. Well, if you're not that kind of person, you're moonwalking out of this room. This is too much. I cannot handle this. But other people need this. So When we want to make sure in theater that we pick everybody up, we cannot just go for the loud. The crescendo has to be built. So what do? Like just now, we calm it down. We find a new beginning. It's usually before the curtain even opens, you have the orchestra playing just to get comfy in the seat. And then the curtain opens. And then you have one soloist maybe who sings a little bit of an intro, and you're sort of slowly lulled into it. Before the break, before the interval, that's the big crescendo. And it's loud, and it's 50 people on choir on stage and 12 soloists, and they're all belting out in tenors. Sounds a little bit like Tony Robbins, right? But it starts gently. So that's what we do in theater. And when we go back to my messed up introduction, that's exactly the better way to do it. Pick up the audience in a gentle way, slowly work them into it within a short amount of time, create that connection like we just had with Rob, and do it somewhat emotional, so that the moment you create an emotion with the audience, that emotion will sink. You can look up papers, you can Google it as much as you want. As soon as you address the limbic system in our brain, and that starts to sync between Rob and me, because he desperately wants my love, as we just heard, that love, that power, those chemicals that our brain produces, magically syncs across the audience. You can prove this. Neuroscience have proven this many, many times, that the feeling in the audience is syncing between the members. But that only works if some members are addressed from us. I would like to hear from you guys before I go on my rant. How do you think, or what could be techniques, possible techniques, to create that link to the audience? I've just done it. I asked a very open question, but that open question was so manipulative, guided, that I got exactly the subject back from Rob that I wanted. So any of you, I'm no school teacher, I'm not picking names, but who would like to chime in and give me an idea of how you can create that connection, that emotional connection, in a very short amount of time? Anyone? Don't talk all at once.
For me, Stefan, it's through the use of storytelling. I find that when I share my heart, make an emotional connection with the audience, maybe perhaps some highs and also some lows in a succinct manner, it's almost like in that moment and in that time, I'm fostering what some would say a one-year relationship in a matter of minutes or moments. And so for me, that exchange within story, make that connectedness, and there's arguably a greater depth of ignition and depth of trust that can come about. So that's for me, storytelling.
Love it. Anyone else?
Yeah,
I'm
jump
trying
in.
really. No, I was just going to say, I try really hard to not make this a monologue. So please help me.
We're here with you, Stefan. Loving the conversation so far. I think for me, it's something that can be used whether you're asking a deep and meaningful question or you're sharing a story. I love what's been said so far. We had an incredible session with Movelle. I think I'm pointing the other way, but she's over there, about content or delivery. I think the way in which we do what we are sharing how we say what we're discussing in that moment can also form emotional connection. If we're speaking, as you say, perhaps in a moment of power voice the entire time and we're being really loud, it can be really overwhelming for the audience and you're not necessarily going to get that emotional connection. But by varying, as Stefan has done already, as Rob just did then, by bringing in that voice inflection, by varying the way that we share our story or ask our question or get excited about a certain moment, the way in which we do that connects with our audience. People can relate and start building a relationship, start building that like, know, and trust factor with us. So I think how you're delivering is really important as well. Back to you, Stefan.
I like it. Anyone else would like to chime in? Yes.
I'll say, just kind of following on from both Rob and Harriet in terms of what they were saying, for me, it's about the how, but it's about demonstrating some vulnerability, right? It's putting myself out there in authenticity so that people can actually see me, feel me, relate to me. That's what, for me, builds a connection. And I very quickly humanize myself by being vulnerable, sharing a part of me as via my story that lets people know, hey, you can relate to me. Just because I'm speaking up here doesn't mean I'm any different to you or better than you. So it's about sharing from a place of authenticity and being vulnerable. That's what works for me.
I love that. I love that. So the reason why I'm asking this question is because when we talk about public speaking, we always talk about the same thing. You know, on date X, you're going to speak. And what do we always say? That's the moment when you take your paper out and start to make the first notes. It's preparation, 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 preparation. So we are writing this script, and then we are refining this script, and we back check everything that we're going to share. And then we rehearse and we practice and we record ourselves. And then we go back and alter the script until it's perfect. And we have rehearsed it so well, and we know our content so deeply. And now we are like a robot on stage because we are so perfect. Well, here's a secret or something that every actor will underline and sign. The moment you come off stage and you believe that you have just delivered the perfect show, you can guarantee that 99% of the time, the audience would not agree. And oh, so often that you come off the stage and you think, I will never, ever in my life get another job, that people will afterwards come to you and say, you really touched me. Let that sink in for a moment. The imperfection is what makes us believable. The imperfection, let me find the best way to phrase this. That makes us human. It gives the audience a chance to think for and with us. Let that sink in as well. So these are techniques that work. I know I used the word manipulate on purpose today several times, but that's what we have to do because we are so scripted, we're so prepared, we are so deep in our knowledge, we're so this and that and the other, we become so robotic. Where is that word that Moel just mentioned before? Authentic. Authentic comes from a conversation. But we're not having a conversation. We are doing a power presentation. We have prepared slides. They're already giving away what we're talking about. We're not making anything up. So how can we still create that connection with the audience where we are indeed making things up? Well, we can force that by thinking on stage, by being quiet in moments. And I'm not talking the rhetorical pauses to set the cliffhanger or to have that moment of, what's going to happen next? Rob is on top of the bridge. He's looking down. It's so high up. What is he doing next? Pause. Suspense. Is he jumping? Does he have a parachute? We don't know. Another suspense. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those fine-tuned, small little moments when we're thinking or we forget something, maybe even on purpose, and give the audience a chance to help us. Ooh, that sounds tricky, right? What was that guy? That guy that played in this movie that it was like Harrison Ford. Yes, thank you very much. Well, of course we knew the name, but by cleverly using our eyesight and looking to the side, which automatically with everybody watching implies that I'm thinking. It gives the audience a moment to think for us, to chime in. It's manipulation. Or what about you want to make it really about your deepest feelings? Instead of looking that way, you're looking down. Just have a look at my face for a moment. I know it's going to be hard, but just for a moment, Arnold, just try not to laugh too hard, but just focus on my face. I know it's going to be really hard for you. So when I'm just saying, I went to the shop and there was this old lady and she dropped something. Because I kept my eye straight at you, there is no personal impact. So I'll do the same thing again and I will look down. So I went to the shops and there was this old lady and she looked at me and then she said, what a beautiful young person. Whatever, right? I'm just making this up. But by the sheer fact that in that moment you cut your gaze with the audience, it becomes oh so personal. These are techniques that we can practice and they work so brilliantly. Is it manipulation? I think you start to get a feel where this conversation is going. We have to work on those techniques to really bring those stories home, even if they are rehearsed. And I guess as a summary for the entire presentation today or talk today is that when we are focusing so much on the content and going back to Mauvel's excellent evening that we had, or for me at least, it was an evening and her presentation, when she asked us to vote, is it the content or is it the presentation? We all pretty much came down to the same result, wasn't it, Mauvel? We all came down and said, okay, it is the presentation. So how much do we actually practice that? And I'm not just talking about the ahs and oohs that we're trying to cut out. We don't like the word like. We don't want to say, you hear me, you understand me. We want to cut out all those things. But how much do we actually practice looking that way or looking down, changing our tonality? So I would like to hear from you guys to get that authenticity that the Swiss guy cannot say. How do you use this? And do you use these sort of techniques? And if not, do you think that would be helpful in your arsenal? Because I have a few more for you. Or do you think, and I want an honest opinion from you guys, or do you think that is too far down the manipulation route? Especially coming back to what Rob said, telling stories. And I know Harriet is very big on telling stories as well. But don't you, when you tell a story, become that character to really bring it home? Well, my mother called. Stefan, why do you never talk to me? Well, I'm sorry, I'm busy. Yeah, but you don't love me anymore. Well, once we apply that character, aren't we manipulating the audience? Aren't we playing a character? But if we don't do it, it becomes boring. I'd love to hear some opinions. Do you think we're going too far, or we're not going too far? Is that helpful?
Stefan, I think we want to, when we're telling stories, when we're giving speeches, be it to an audience, be it to our family, we want it to be interesting. We want it, if it's not interesting, they're not going to listen to us. And if they're not going to listen to us, they won't get any value from what we're sharing and why we're there, and for their giving up those minutes, hours of their time. So I think anything we can do that brings it alive is not manipulation. If we're chatting to our friends, we often act things out. We talk about, you know, the fish, I caught the fish, it was that big. You know, we bring it alive. And I think that's exactly what we want to do when we're talking to people. If you're standing on a stage when it's more formal and you are just talking in a really monotonous voice and sharing the information and how excited you are to be there, nobody's going to stay listening to you for long. We want that. So I don't think it's manipulation. I think it's just bringing alive what we're sharing in the same way we would do to our friends. We would do it when we're doing it in a more formal presentation stuff.
And that was a lessons learned. There we go.
I'd like to jump in too, if I can. And thanks, Andy. I think about it like this. Think about a restaurant. You have a choice of going to two restaurants. They both serve really good food, but on the one, you're blindfolded from the moment you arrive. You never even see the inside of the restaurant. Someone ushers you to your table, and then you're spoon-fed the different spectacular food, right? And the very same food is offered in another restaurant that has magnificent lighting, beautiful ambiance to it, comfortable chairs, just the right kind of eye lines to really improve the whole experience. And the same food is put down in front of you and you get to see it and eat it. Now, the chef hasn't done a darn thing different to either dish. But let's be honest, our senses are deprived on the other one. We are making it very difficult for the diner to enjoy the food like he will or she will in the other restaurant. And I think the metaphor holds across the analogy holds across for speaking. We have to set the table, the restaurant for these people. And as we're giving them the food, we want them to have a dining experience of our information, not to be blindfolded and spoon-fed with it, because they're going to lose even if the content's great. And that's another proof point about why it isn't just about the content. The food can be great, but if it's not delivered in a way that we're enjoying ourselves, we feel immersed. When the waiter comes by and the maitre d' and engages us in conversation, that is how we enjoy all the food, right? Are you enjoying it? Yes, we are. Great. Oh, I'll send the compliments back that's an experience. The other one is eating. Everybody's got to eat, but it ain't that good.
And I just want to chime in on this one there, because Bill, you just described really, really, really great. Because if you just see, for example, and I'm talking about food, then when you watch all these videos on YouTube about food, nobody's going to say like, oh yeah, we're in Thailand now and they got lovely rice. It tastes all fine. No, they're really excited. You can even taste and smell the food over the internet. And this is beautiful, because for every story that you're going to tell, just share your experience in a way that you have tasted, feel it, and smell it. Because at the end of the day, you're there on that stage to share an experience, and you're not there on the stage just to telling a story. No, you just want to share something that you have been through. But when it comes to details, to specify the things in a really tone that people will like, whoa, I love that. I want to taste that. I want to go. I want to travel, because that is what we want, experience. And yeah, just telling a story, believe me, on the stage, we all have done that. You can have it, well, amazingly, or you can have the audience like, what is he doing there? Back to you.
Awesome. I'm pretty sure that Harriet and Rob Morell, you have something under your fingernails that is burning right now. No?
I wouldn't say it was burning, but I think for me, as long as, I'm going to go back to that same word again, as long as you're being true to you and you're presenting in a way that is authentic and real, it's never going to be manipulation. If I'm sharing a part of myself and that means that I'm doing it in a way that I tell a joke or I'm, being a character, that's just me being me, right? Because if you're not you, it comes across as fake and disingenuous, and that's when people feel manipulated. So I think as long as you are being true to you and doing it in a way that is all the way you, all the stuff you're talking about, it works. I have come to do a presentation and forgotten my place, so ask the question of the audience, and while they're answering, I'm trying to catch my place back again. That's not manipulation. That's me doing what I can to make sure I'm putting my best foot forward and educating my audience and giving them what they came for. I could stand there and just go, God, I forgot what I was going to say. While they all stare at me, I'm not giving them what they came for by doing that, right? Then they're going to switch off. They're going to miss the rest of what I've said. So asking a question is engaging them while I get some time to think. I'm not manipulating. I'm doing what I need to do to be able to give you the best. As long as I'm doing me, I don't see it as manipulation, and I feel completely in integrity in doing so.
Harriet, I don't want to leave you out. If you want to chime in, go for it.
Sure. Let's get this fire burning on the dance floor. That's where it's at for me, not under my nails. I find this a fascinating conversation, and there's almost 3 terms that come out for me while we have this. And I think it's also so important to remember that we all have perhaps a slightly different interpretation of that word manipulation, of any word, but of the word manipulation. And more often than not, the interpretation that we put to a word, and therefore what we share about it, is going to stem from the experiences that we've had. So with manipulation, I think there are certain aspects of what we do, particularly relevant to public speaking, that could be coined and said it's manipulation. I can understand how that is relevant. We're doing something in a certain way to gain a certain result. However, I think there's also a fine line between the second term that comes to me, the manipulation, and effective communication. There are many strategies, the same things that we use in order to have effective communication. And as Andy was saying, to be able to interest our audience and get them excited, or whatever the emotion might be in that moment, around what it is that we are sharing. So can we effectively communicate using certain strategies? But you guys know that I love speaking about coming out of your head and into your heart. Well, for me personally, each to their own, that's the difference. Manipulation is coming from your head, your mind. You're thinking through how to do something a certain way to get a result. Whereas when you're in your heart, you're inspiring. You're, as Mavell was saying, authentically being true to yourself. So personally, I don't practice when I'm going to nod my head, when I'm going to change my tonality. Have I practiced that at speaking events? Yes. Have I learned the use of that skill? Yes. But when I walk on stage, when I deliver after the years of practice and experience now, I detach. Before I press that online button or before I walk on stage, I'm totally detached and I'm just in heart. I'm in a space of not trying to get people to do what I want, but to inspire them to get to do what they want to do. It's their personal choice rather than sort of an agenda-driven presentation, if that makes sense. So those are the 3 words that come up for me: manipulation, effective communication, or taking it to another level and inspiring your audience through the way and what you're sharing and just being true to you. Back to you, Stefan.
You guys, if I would have sent you a script for today, you would have said and given me exactly those answers. The reason why I mentioned the word manipulation so many times is because it has this negative connotation to it. And it means, for most people, that you are doing something with the audience that they don't want, but they somehow just go along with it. And I hear that so often. And the reason why I ask those questions, I'm so happy for every single answer that you gave, is that we have to make these things our own so that we can be ourselves. right? So some people have a natural gift for being theatrical. Other people have a natural gift to be very, very soft and extremely eloquently spoken. Other people might be turbo on stage. They're running left and right and left and right and do it this way. What they all have in common, hopefully, is that they found their own way. But to do so, we have to practice and find our own way, and we have to apply certain techniques to get there. And then, and that's the reason why, and this is the last time I use this word, when manipulation changes into authentic engagement. Because now it's no longer doctored, now it has become personality. And guess what? Next time when you see a presenter telling a story and that person looks down, you might think of Stefan and go, "Oh, look at that." But that person will not do it because they rehearsed that specific move, but because it's a natural move. And we have to work on this. And the most important part here, and that's the one that I want to stress, is that every single technique should be in assistance to find yourself. It's the same as if you don't have fun, if you're not excited to go out on stage, how can you expect the audience to be excited to see you? It's a two-way thing. If I don't share from my heart, how do I expect the audience to let me into theirs? But we have to be sure that we find this authentic us, and that is a process. And that process could profit from learning certain techniques and then make it our own. So if I am on stage and I know as a theater person, I have given lyrics to sing and I've given words to say. Well, if I come up on stage and say them as they're written, the audience will fall asleep because they will not believe me, because they also know that I'm a paid actor and that I say lines that are not mine. Everybody in the audience knows. So why would they applaud at the end? Well, they only applaud if they forget that I'm a paid actor and they forget that I'm saying words that someone else has written, and they actually start to believe that I'm falling in love with Rob, who so desperately wants me to tell him that I love him. Now, in that case,
I love you too, man.
Rob, sorry. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, Rob. I like you, but love is a big word. You know, it's a big word. So we know our content. We practice it. We rehearsed it. We rehearsed all our techniques. And I'm pretty sure if I would go into Harriet's presentations, and she is such a flamboyant speaker that really brings the energy and takes people in, if I would watch 5 of her presentations, I would probably find a pattern that at similar times in her presentation, she probably raises her voice because it needs it. And at certain points, she will drop it. Just like Movell showed when she ran the room, that she had her own opinions, but then she held it back, and then she got, cleverly distributed across us, and then gave her 50 cents to it, and it was very, very smooth. So that's her way of doing it, very powerful but intelligent and soft. So, and if I would watch her presentations several times, I would find patterns, and they would repeat, and I could note them down. So do we have to create those patterns? I believe those patterns come from practice and from rehearsals, and exactly those moments of looking that way or looking down. It sounds theatrical, but once it becomes us, once we are honestly authentic, once we make the audience believe that Rob and I are indeed in love, even though we rehearsed it 100 times, that's when the audience will stand up at the end and clap. Agreed? So if I ask Andy a question, Andy, if you could come off your microphone, can you tell me what 310 is divided by 2?
310 is 106, 155.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Rob, may I ask you a question?
Please.
What's 310 divided by 2?
165.
Okay, you're a perfect liar. But the point is, when you see the two reactions, one didn't expect or know the question, and it took a little bit to phrase the answer. Rob already knew the question, and the answer came out blop. So the one person that on stage I would believe is Andy and not Rob, because Rob was already rehearsed. So just another technique. And Bill, I think, mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. When we give the audience a chance to do that math with us, if we give the audience a chance to see that we're thinking, we're creating yet another connection. Just like Andy just did. Rob didn't. And I'm sorry, Rob, I told you last week that I'm going to throw you a little bit under the bus this week. So this is now enough. I use
It's
you
okay.
as
I know you love me. It's completely fine.
Wonderful. So coming back to the beginning, to the very beginning, I would like to mention a few things. And I know Andy is already sitting there going like, man, those Swiss watches go very, very, very slow. Today, I didn't want to give you 500 points how to copy things. I think my goal today was just to spark an idea to say, how much should I think about theatrics? How much should I think about creating those little cliffhangers? We talk always about the pauses, etc. In how far should I work on becoming me? And then naturally, all those things that I mentioned, those little techniques, they're not something that we are doing on purpose anymore. It becomes part of us. But that part of us makes us believable. And to use that beautiful word again that Movell said, and I cannot pronounce, this authentic thing. So coming back to the beginning, and not to mess up like I've done today on purpose. I'll just give you a few ideas, and then I would like to throw it to you guys, and then I'll moonwalk out of here, pretending with the hands up in the air as if I don't care, because my t-shirt says, if it's too loud, you're too old. Yet again, something just to throw out there. At least Ernal got that joke. So, two things that I ask as a beginning. Please, if you go on stage, if you are listening to this or you're watching this at some point and you think public speaking sounds good, ask yourself one question. Do you do it for the spotlight, or do you do it because you have something to share? If it is for the spotlight, become a singer. If you do it to share something, become a public speaker. And if you do it for yourself, here are a few indications where you realize I might be in it for the wrong reasons. If you come up on stage and for the first 40 minutes, you rattle down your achievements in life, it may be about you. If on every single slide behind you is your name and your email address, it may be about you. If the end slide has your name and your phone number on it, it may be about you. How many presentations have we seen that are exactly like that? But if you go on stage to share because you absolutely love sharing with others what you have experienced, then you're the one on stage. And then bring yourself. Start with the story. and that story should be soft. Remember the crescendo that we mentioned? You cannot go up if you already start up. Build it up, make it personal. Be bigger than life. It's not easy for everybody, but you have to be bigger than life on stage. Make whatever stories you tell personal. First person, and when you talk to your mother on stage, change your voice. You will feel like an idiot. That's fine. But it will change the way it's perceived. Yes, Mom, but you never said. It will sell the story. I would like to hear from you guys a few ideas, and I will drop the mic at this point. I could name so many things of vocal tonality and this and that and the other, techniques to actually improve your storytelling. But since the clock is ticking, I will leave that for another day. Today, I just wanted to throw a spark out there, and hopefully everybody think about why they're doing it and what they need to do to make this successful. And for me, the summary would be, buy my new ebook. No, it's not about me. Would be a good title though. No, it's not about me. Would be a good title, don't you think? Stage is open.
Stefan,
Please.
I don't think you lit a spark, or I think you set off a little bit of a fire, and that's a good thing, my brother. Brilliant job. I'm learning so much, honestly. And you almost had me at the back pain when you started. You almost had me at the back pain. I just want to let you know that, and I think I'm not the only one. Here's where my mind goes in the midst of just an amazing conversation and a lot of gold today that you gave us. Is you look at any absolutely incredible actor or actress, they had to find their way. There's a certain genre of acting. Okay. So you take a look at the comedians like the Jim Carreys of the world. You take a look at, you could, any actor, actress, Julia Roberts, etc. Whether it be drama, whether it be comedic work, whether it be whatever, they found their way somewhere along the line. Now, I understand that some actors and actresses, they cross over into different genres. I mean, you can only imagine how good they must be to do just that. However, the authentic you, in my opinion, my estimation, the quicker that you find out your lane of where you thrive the most, the better for you and the better for everyone else. Find your genre. Are you more of a preacher type speaker, inspirational? Are you a bit more of an analyst or commentator of a speaker? Are you a bit more of a comedian? Whatever it is, and as you begin to go down that road and practice and put in your reps, as many like to say, you find your way. You get more comfortable and confident, keeping the things that Stefan has brought up and more in the midst of your practicing, in the midst of putting in the reps. And all of a sudden now you're in your lane. You're as free and liberated as you can be. And guess who the beneficiaries are in the midst of that process? The hearers and those that experience you and your message. So Stefan, thank you. And I appreciate you as a friend and the expert that you are in this area, and appreciate you. All right.
And I do love you a little bit. No, not like not like just.
I'll take what I can get. A pinch. Everything good has to start with a little pinch anyway.
Let me save you, Stefan, so you don't say anything.
Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to say that, first of all, this has been really insightful. Thank you, Stefan. I agree with Rob and the panel. This sense of manipulation is a really neat topic. And my own little processor for this is, first you connect with them and then you can lead them to where you want them to go, right? The shepherd has to connect with the flock, right? And to a degree, are you being manipulated when somebody makes a compelling point and you're interested in the next point? No, they obviously did something with you in that first point that brought you to them that brings them to you, I should say, on a level of, now we're on the same plane. I'm with you. I thought you were way up here when you were starting to talk, but now I feel like we're together. And when we're together, now we can go on this speech journey, whatever that journey is. So I don't see it as manipulating at all. I see it, provided it's all done with a sense of, obviously, service and honesty and helping others. Find those connective tissues wherever they are with that audience. And when it's made, those, now they're with you. They're following you along. So loved what you said today. And that's just kind of my processing of how that authenticity plays out. But really, really nice job. Thanks for all that.
I'll just jump in there and jump on the thanks bandwagon. Always learn something new from you, Stefan. I love the spin you bring to things and the way that you do it. And there's only one you, in the same way there's only one Rob and there's only one Harriet. I am never going to try to be, as lively as either of them. Now, do I have passion for what I talk about? Absolutely. I just don't show it in the way that they do. And people wouldn't want to see me do it that way because I'd be lousy at it, right? And so I think that what we need to understand is that we're all being manipulated in one way, shape, or form throughout our entire lives. But certainly when we go to sit in an audience, we go there in many cases to be manipulated, right? We want to be brought around to someone's way of thinking. So for me, it's about how that happens. I don't want the loud used car salesman type of manipulation who plays stupid tricks. I'm not interested in that. That's not authentic. I'm not going to buy into that message. But if I can feel you in much the way that I do when I listen to Rob and I do when I listen to Harriet and all of you, because you do it in a way that is just uniquely you. So I don't care. I actually don't care that I'm being manipulated in that sense because I'm learning something. And I think that's what we need to focus on. Are we learning? Are we teaching somebody when we're speaking to them? Absolutely. As long as we're doing it in the way that is uniquely us and people can invest in and buy into our message, I'm all for whatever way you do that, as long as it's you and I can relate. So thank you, Sean.
And I just want to say, like, we always have a lot of fun and we always make fun of Stefan, but he's the one with a lot of experience. And we are even learning from Stefan. And it is great to see how, especially when in an acting world and also in real life, and we bring this word manipulation quite a lot in. What I want to say is all these tips and tricks that Stefan just shared, and we all learn from it as well. Because listen, we know a lot of things, but we're also learning. But what Stefan just shared was so valuable, because in life, if you can see, and especially when I'm talking about like the TV experience, when I thought there was a big fight, I thought it was a big fight, and then afterwards they were just acting, all these things. And for me, it was like, really. So the way the tips and tricks and the way of what was Stefan has shared is wonderful, because we all think that life is difficult when we, especially when we are sharing our story, but it depends how you bring it, and that is so important. So Stefan, we know we will always make fun of you, but you're the most valued member. Well, I will say the most valued with your experience. We love it, and I just gonna make a comment on that one. But man, you were in time instead of out. Back to you.
Look, I was given an hour. It is exactly an hour. To the minute. Check your time. 1 hour. I was given an hour. It is an hour. It's called professionalism, in case you wonder. Look, I'll leave you with one thing, and then I'll hand it back to Andy. Just to make that example of when you use your technique properly and you developed your authentic self. I love what Morel said about I will never be like. Well, that's exactly right, because that means she found herself. How many of us have watched videos of other people and thought, if I would only do it that way, or if I would only do it that way? Well, guess what? We have been, sorry to say, manipulated in believing that someone else is better than us. Harriet says it always. Same. Be yourself, because you cannot shine through someone else. Morel found her way, and that's how she shines. But it's a process. She had to find herself. Just like Rob. Rob is the, yeah, go and get it type. Bill is the convincing, whatever comes out of his mouth, it just already has a certain tone to it that you just believe it. I mean, he could sell you, I don't know, a telephone book or a pen. Go and look it up, how to sell a pen. I had to throw that in, right? I mean, Arnold has his background with TV. He knows what he's doing. I mean, Andy has written five best-selling books. We all have found our way. And mine just comes from musical theater. My favorite musical probably ever written is Les Miserables. And Les Mis, there is a scene where during the June Rebellion, by the way, I'm not going into the history of the musical, but the June Rebellion in Paris, Marius, the character, is sitting in an empty cafe and looks at the table and realizes that all of his friends have died. And he sings this song called Empty Chairs at Empty Tables. Now, you're sitting in the audience and you have someone, and we talked about a lot of techniques today, looking that way or this way or bringing up your voice and this and that. I've seen so many of those performances where then the guy who plays Marius is showing off all his techniques. The end of the song goes something like that. Empty chairs at empty tables, where my friends will sing no more. If they sing it like that, it's 99% there. It's 99% believable. If I do the same thing with showing off my singing techniques, that moment is disappeared. It's destroyed. Empty chairs at empty tables. Right? Okay. Oh, wow. He knows how to breathe. He knows how to sing in a mass. The moment is gone. So we have to make it ourselves. We have to make it us. And then maybe add that one little r in it at the right word. And then that line becomes so believable that you are nearly crying, but you try to hide it. And then it sounds like this. Empty chairs at empty tables, where my friends will sing no more. And then there is technique, but it's you. I hope you had fun today.
Whoa, Stefan! Give it up, Stefan! What a brilliant masterclass we have just had there from Stefan, guys. So if you have any questions, any points you'd like to ask Stefan, you are welcome to put them in the chat and we will pick them up over the week if you are catching us on a replay. But otherwise, we can even address them in our session next week. And I'm sure there's a lot there. You may even want to rewind and re-watch as well. So big thanks to Stefan and of course Harriet, Movell, Rob, Erlo and Bill for joining us today as well. Please do check out their profiles, see how they can help and support you achieve more success in your career and your business as well. We are going to be back next Thursday at exactly the same time. to continue with another live with these amazing experts to help you with your public speaking success. Until we meet again, goodbye, everybody. Enjoy your week ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a beautiful day.
Have a beautiful day. This song